time in 7 year time. Yes, here the John has come. So you see that is a big puzzle, and you asked the right question. Obviously, it has to come in the future, but let us have some reflection on that. So you asked the question: how do we uh, reconcile oneness with all living beings and Viveka? So that question is very interesting. That how the Viveka helps me to reconcile the oneness. So reconcile, yes, you can say it's maybe a right word. Reconcile means that you bring together. Which is not together, you bring it together. As if the body and the mind is not together, you bring it together. Body and mind is always together. There is a body, there is a mind. That's why we say it's a body-mind complex. So reconcile is a little bit tricky, and merge. Another meaning of the reconcile is merge. Merge, obviously, we will understand a bit later, or sometime we also use the word reconcile to reunite. Reunite means now I feel I'm not united, so how to understand that we are already united? That makes a sense to reconciliation. So what you asked that, pay attention to the oneness amongst with all the living beings with Viveka, the ability to separate, dissociate feeling and the facts. Ability to separate or dissociate feelings and the facts. So you see, the Viveka in English is translated as discernment. Discernment is to separate. To separate means that I recognize this is false and this is true. I recognize this is mirage water and I see, I feel, I experience, but it is not true. Well, I see the mirage water. I experience it, but it is not true. I see while driving, I see the highway is running behind me. I see it is my experience. How can I deny my experience? So my experience must be authenticated by logic and reasoning. Why logic and reasoning? To find the cause and effect. So if I don't see the cause and I find the cause and effect, and then I recognize the mirage water is false. Rainbow is false. Highway running behind me while driving the car is false. So the feeling and facts go together. One is the feeling, obviously pertains to the experience, and the fact I have to examine with the cause and effect relationship. Having said that, now understand first point, Viveka and the judgment in the intellect. Intellect has two faculties. One faculty is judgment. Look at this, Sophie, how good she is or how bad she is. This is judgment. And what is Viveka? I see the goodness, I see the badness, I see the Sophie. They are at par with me. So I have a total clear perception. My master used to say, one is a great flute player. He was also a great thief.
A great what?
Great thief. Cheater. So now the one person perceives him as a cheater and the other person perceives him as a great player. Oh, he has so much of love for the music. No, he is a cheater. How can you reconcile it? You cannot reconcile it. Cheater is a cheater. He is also a cheater, and he is a flute player. That is judgment. So I decide to choose one part of anything or any person. Then I say this guy is good or this guy is bad. I cannot reconcile. Look at you, how worst and beautiful you are. I cannot say that. Can I say that? How worst person you are and how beautiful you are. So the judgment always follows one-sided, lopsided approach. You can increase your IQ and then you can commit suicide. But when you do the Viveka means you are separating the false from the real. You are separating the ignorance from the wisdom. So what happens in the highest journey, the ignorance has no standing at all. Ignorance has no basis at all. False has no, mirage water has no basis at all. The highway that is running behind me while driving the car has no basis. So now because I recognize, I have experience, it has no basis at all. Even if I see it, I live into Viveka. That is the first thing to understand. That is the Viveka. Viveka is not to dissociate. Basically, we use the word separate. We separate the false from the real so that I can settle with the real. Nowadays, men and women, sometime I went to some car dealer today, and that person was walking in front of me, so I could see his back. I could see his or her back. So I cannot figure out whether it is he or she. And then I said, hey, and then that guy turned, and I found him that he had mustaches and beard. So obviously I can figure out that he is a man, but behind it, I can see he is. You cannot figure it out. So now see that once I have separated the misconception because of his hairs, I was thinking whether it is she. So now that she is gone. So that is Viveka. That is the meaning of dissociation. Here, there are many other meanings of dissociation and separation. So why we follow the Viveka? Because every time we follow the Viveka, we remove all the elements of the false and the real, false and the ignorance. And what is left is the real. That is the process of Viveka. First thing. Second thing to understand. So again, if we repeat, how do we reconcile? That's a good question. How do we reconcile oneness with all living beings in the Viveka? So our masters come up with a solution. We say that every entity, every object, everything that exists has three levels, three layers, three levels. They function at the physical level, they function at the psychological level, they function at the spiritual level. My physical level, you already see. Old guys, now aging process. You all are beautiful and handsome. You see, that is judgment. It is the physical level. Now, mental level. The mental qualities that manifest love and the compassion, love and the compassion and the kindness and negative emotions and the positive emotions, the emotional dependence and the emotional freedom. That is the second layer. Clear? Now the third layer if the mind manifests love, it means the love has to be present before the mind manifests. Are you understanding? That compassion has to be present before the mind takes up and it manifests kindness. We say, you have to show kindness, you have to. So that compassion is a state of consciousness, that love is a state of the consciousness, that is the spiritual level. It has no name in the form, it is subjective level. Clear? Have you understood this? Every aspect has three levels. It may look funny to you, I know, in the beginning, but if you contemplate and reflect, you will recognize, yes, there is some sound reasoning and basis behind it. Look at the space. The space in your house, my house, space in this country or that country, in one continent, another continent, it is the same. It does not change. Water does not change its composition, it remains H2O. You mix up, you use the ocean water because it has mixed with the salt. But water composition, the intrinsic nature of the water does not change. Are you sure? Are you clear? Intrinsic nature of the water does not change. Extrinsic nature changes, where you add color, you add mud, etc., etc. So you can pollute anything at the physical and the mental level. But intrinsic nature is the spiritual level. Intrinsic nature is the spiritual. That is the third entity, that is subjective. And that intrinsic level, intrinsic nature of anything and everything is the same. How to recognize this? We have to do meditation. We have to awaken to that intrinsic nature. So once you awaken to that intrinsic nature of yourself first, you will recognize that even the dog has the same intrinsic nature. Even the cat has the same intrinsic nature. Even the stone has the same intrinsic nature. Even everything has. But first I have to recognize and realize in myself that oneness, intrinsic nature, that one consciousness which is all pervading, present in every being. So once I recognize, not only I enter into the spiritual consciousness, I am awakened, and from that state of awakening, I recognize that all living beings are made up of the same consciousness. And that is the answer to reconcile. How do we reconcile oneness with all living beings? I cannot reconcile at the mental level because the abilities of the mind is different. I cannot reconcile at the physical level. There is no reconciliation. Can you reconcile that I am the dog are the same? Oh, what you are talking. I will not attend your session. I am not mean to attend the session of a dog. Purely it is a physical and the mental level. We are talking of the physical and mental level. But at the intrinsic level, we are the same. But first, I have to recognize that third level in me. When I recognize the third level in me, I can not only, it's not a reconciling, but I feel that now I'm reunited with every living being from that level. From that level. From that level. Same clay makes the pot, makes the glass, makes different utensils. I recognize that intrinsic nature of the clay pot is the clay. I recognize the intrinsic nature of the waves is water. I reconcile the intrinsic nature of all the houses is space. Are you getting it? Say yes, even if you're not getting it, it's okay. That is what we are doing the journey. So you see the intrinsic nature of every object, everything that exists never changes. It is all pervading. It is one. So when I recognize that intrinsic nature in me that does not change, which is beyond the mind, I can instantly recognize the way I experience you with a physical form and the name. I can also experience you as one entity, as one consciousness. But if you try to superimpose I and the dog are one, no, it will not work. It is a superimposition. It's not a reconciliation. You will fail. So why you go too far? Your honey is also a human being. I and honey are one, same. Not possible. Not possible at the physical level, not possible at the mental level. Yes. So in spite of the differences in different houses mentioned, single family home, here in US I heard, this is a single family home, this is a condo, and this is what apartment, and this is sky. But all the houses have one common factor. What is the intrinsic nature? Is the space. If you don't have a space, you cannot build a house. Intrinsic nature is the space. I have a big house. It means you have a more enclosed space. Am I right? Huh? And if you are, no one is here, so no one will feel bad. If one is, today I just went to the Best Buy, so I forgot her name completely. She is assistant manager, so I have to get some problem of my payment solved. There was some overpayment. So I said, how to say that? There is an assistant manager. So I expressed it. There is an assistant manager who is so beautiful. But I didn't say she is very fat. Oh, oh, she is, we know she is Diana. Let me call her. So intrinsic nature you cannot change. Intrinsic nature you cannot change. Remember this. So every time you caught up into anxiety and duality, our intrinsic nature is peace and happiness. Why? Now, how you see that? I'm just giving you the facts. You are in stress. What your mind is looking for, peace. You are physically tired. What you are looking for, sleep. Your mind moves naturally to your intrinsic nature. It wants to move to the intrinsic nature because that is my nature. If my nature is anger, forget about it. Then you are in stress, and then your intrinsic nature is anger. Then you will say, okay, I have a lot of stress. Let me become angry. Fighting is not my intrinsic nature. Intrinsic nature of not a single human being. So after a lot of fighting, ultimately we reconcile and we say, okay, thanks God. We have enough is enough. Either we reconcile, we say, okay, I will not say this thing, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry. Otherwise, if the sorry becomes big, we divorce. But ultimately, in that divorce, I'm finding my peace. I cannot find the peace in divorce. I cannot find the peace in marriage. I can find the peace in my intrinsic nature. That needs to be understood. And once you understand that in fight, there is no need to fight. Then you won't fight. You see that? Then you won't fight. Oh, it is because of the ignorance in the mind. We have started fighting. You withdraw yourself, and you withdraw yourself. Other is not withdrawing. You still withdraw yourself. You wait. And when you have a habit of withdrawing yourself into the calmness, the other also gets an impression that there is no need to fight. So we can only recognize the intrinsic nature by our experience, by discovery of our own nature. If I discover my own nature, I discover the intrinsic nature of everyone. I live into my house and I know enclosed space is washroom, enclosed space is living room, enclosed space is bedroom, enclosed space is garage. Now I know my house, intrinsic nature of my house. I know the intrinsic nature of a mansion also. You see that? A big house. I need not to go there. I have an experience. Do you see that? I have a real life experience. Oh, okay. I understood. Oh, your house is small. I have a big house. So I easily understand. What does it mean by big house? Why? Only because I recognize the intrinsic nature of the house, that is the space. The teachers in the Eastern wisdom recognize the intrinsic nature in everyone. We teach from that perception that you have the intrinsic nature. Even if you ask right or the wrong question, even if you are not at that level, we know you all have the intrinsic nature. And that is why we talk and talk and talk, point to you that intrinsic nature to recognize, to realize, to experience. We leave aside the consideration of the age and intellectual ability, the emotions. We leave aside, the age and the sex and the gender, and no, we say no. Your intrinsic nature, you are a human being. That being is intrinsic in you. The human part is the physical and the mental. I talked about it much before last year. Human being is equal to human plus being. Being is common. And that being is consciousness. Consciousness is same. Consciousness cannot change. You cannot say, I have one consciousness and my honey has a different consciousness. We don't have a different consciousnesses, like we don't have different spaces. Space is one. Consciousness is one. But the consciousness that manifests into the mind, that gives a false conception that we have a different attitude, behavior, and act. Because that manifests through the mind. Consciousness is one. So where comes the Viveka here? The Viveka comes that I separate, the mind is here and the consciousness here. Mind is different from the consciousness. Mind is a matter. And once you recognize all the craziness that in which the mind lives also dissolves. Oh, I'm consciousness. You are also consciousness. Unity. Now I recognize that. Not only I recognize, I experience that. That experience is known as awakening. That experience is known as nirvana. That is how you can use different words. So now, when I experience that consciousness is all pervading, so it means it is pervading in you and me and he and she and in all living beings. I have reconciled. I found one consciousness. Only I can recognize that oneness at that level. How can I say red is green and green is yellow? Which is purely physical level. There has to be variety at the physical level. And there has to be a different taste at the mental level. Are you understanding? But all that manifests at the highest level of the consciousness is always one. It is intrinsic. It is our essential nature. You eat candy. You eat ice cream. Both are sweet. The sweetness is the intrinsic nature. The shape and the size and the color of these candies and ice cream and desserts are different. They are physical level. Are you getting it? So that is how Eastern wisdom reconciles. They say first you understand the three levels, the physical, mental, and the spiritual level. So-called, or you can say the causal level. So we say that physical level is the outermost level, and the cause of the physical level is the mind or mental level. And the cause of mind in the body is ultimately, it is the spiritual level or the causal level. We say the causal body. The causal body has one aspect, that is ignorance. Other aspect is the wisdom. Modern science roughly says at the deepest level of our subconscious or the unconscious material, which has two facets. One is positive and the other is negative. We can roughly say. So that positive aspect is our spiritual identity, which is definitely the same in all the beings. So we have to explore step by step. So I don't do the judgment. I do the Viveka, discernment. I see that I'm not the body. I'm not the mind. I'm not the intellect. I'm not the ego. Then what is left is I cannot deny that I am not the consciousness. The moment you say, I do not exist, so you are conscious, then only you said, I do not exist. So you are denying what cannot be denied. Are you understanding? Not very difficult. I do not exist, you said to me. So you are conscious, that is why you are saying, I do not exist. So you are conscious because you are consciousness. So your saying I do not exist does not mean anything. Are you getting it? What I said? When I say I do not, now say I'm not teaching. I'm not teaching. What the heck? You are teaching. You are here and now. So my mind denies even what constantly exists. You know the French philosopher, perhaps, and knows what he says, I think, therefore I am. Wrong. I am, therefore I think. And that I am is consciousness. Do you see that? The moment I think, before I think, I have to exist. Very subtle, but very interesting. I think, therefore I am. Ah, really? So it means when you do not think, then you are not? You see? So it's a function of the mind. So our master says, I am. That I am is conscious. Therefore I think. I think, therefore I am. It means when I do not think, then I am not. You see that? Understand that? How everyone might be saying, why, Sophie, you asked such a hard question? I feel bored. Let us close your eyes. Don't feel bored. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. And eyes are closed and feel. What do you feel? Feel. Just be comfortable, my friends. Being comfortable. Being comfortable means understand I am conscious. That's why I can experience being comfortable or uncomfortable. Pay attention. I'm saying the same thing again and again through different ways. You raise a question, so it gives another aspect of life. So we go to go through the physical level. Pay attention. What I discussed, I'm translating into your practice. So I'm conscious. That is why you are listening to me. Yes, very much sure. Now I see that move your mind on the neck joint. You are conscious, then only you can move your mind on the neck joint. If you are not conscious, you cannot do that. So that consciousness is intrinsic. It has to be present before you do any action. Action is not possible. Oh, so looking at the neck joint, being there, feeling the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Now move the mind, entire body. So that consciousness is present behind, then the mind moves on the body, and then you feel the sensation, comfort, and steadiness, my friend. Look at it, how it is I oversimplified it. If you look at it that way. And now you are conscious, that's then only you are aware of the thought. When you say that, I have a lot of thoughts, I don't have a thought, I'm constantly watching, yes, watching the thought come and go. You are in discernment. You are in discernment, my friend. You're not judging this thought is good and bad. Whatever the thought is there, you are watching them like the traffic on the highway you are standing across the road. So that standing across the road not getting mixed up. When you are judgmental, you say this, I like this, I don't like this. When you are follow a discernment, you say both are there. What do I have to do with it? I'm separate from it. That ability of the intellect helps you to find the intrinsic nature. Why? I'm neither attached to the physical or mental level. So ultimately, I settle myself into the consciousness. Then comes the result, I am. Therefore, I think, therefore I have a body, therefore I get into anxiety. There is no need to get into anxiety because I am consciousness. Consciousness never get into anxiety. The mind gets into anxiety. That is the message of being carefree. Yes, we perhaps, if you are feeling, oh, it is too much to my mind. I have a headache now. What you talked. So not have a headache, please. Look inside the forehead into the space and start breathing quick and short breath into your chest. Continue breathing. Continue breathing. Quick and short breath through both the nostrils into, and you may feel some resistance. Counter that resistance by enduring. Tell your mind, no, I'll be doing it. I will not be stopping this, and that also results into variety of experiences. So you recognize those experiences also. And now stop it. do nothing. Now you see there are changes in your experiences. No doubt there are some upsurge of the sensation, or maybe some people will say freshness, some people will say that my mind has become blank or otherwise. So these experiences are changes. Whatever is changes cannot be my intrinsic nature. So the body of a dog is changing. It barks, I speak. So these two are changes, different ways of expression. So it means there is a variety. So where there is a variety, there cannot be an intrinsic nature. I cannot find the oneness in my life. Only I have to find out the oneness in me first. And that is why look at the head and the neck, or if I say move the mind on the head and the neck, or can I say allow your mind to touch the skin of the head and the neck. What do you experience? Sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Now you experience this sensation, relaxation, stillness of the body in the mind. Be very clear about it. All experiences takes place in the mind. It doesn't take place in the body. How can you say I experience in the body? I know. If anyone thinks in that way, that is why the doctor gives you anesthesia. It stops the mind on a particular part of the body, and then it does the surgery. You don't feel anything. Clear evidence, evidential approach, evidence approach. We follow that. Oh yes, you are right. So if I'm right, follow. Move the mind on the right arm. Allow the mind to touch the skin of the right arm from the shoulder to the fingers. You experience sensation, relaxation, stillness in the mind of the body. Because body is there. The reference point is the right arm. Move the mind on the left arm. So it means when you experience the sensation, relaxation, and stillness, you are basically experiencing the mind. Really? Yes. You refer to the body. I am very happy because of your presence. Your happiness is inside your mind. Happiness is not in that person. Chest and the belly, the middle portion of the body, sensation, relaxation, and stillness. You are discerning. You see that? So if you ask this question and I'm translating into an action. How to reconcile? Reconcile means first Viveka. I am discerning. It is not the body, it is the mind which is experiencing sensation, relaxation, stillness, which is the cause of the physical body. It keeps the body still. It is the stillness in the body. It is not the stillness of the body. Can there be a stillness of the body? Answer is big no. Every cell is moving. Blood is moving at this time. Air flow. The body continues to carry out more than 1 trillion functions every second. How can you say body can be still? It is the stillness in the body of the mind. Right leg. Sensation, relaxation, and stillness. Sensation, relaxation, and stillness in the left leg. I believe you are clear. So we discern. When you discern, you feel that now you discover that body is separate from the mind. Very good. Now let us continue our discernment. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Say in your mind, Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. May there be happiness for all. Now let us discern. Is the happiness the property of the mind? No, my mood changes. I'm angry over you, I'm upset over you, I'm happy over you. Throughout the day, mind changes hundreds of times. But what I'm saying, may there be happiness for all. So if there is a happiness for all, I should recognize that happiness in all the beings at all the time, in all the locations. What do you mean? That happiness is beyond the mind. That consciousness expresses itself as a happiness in all the beings. The moment I recognize in me, I recognize in every being. What I did, I made a discernment of happiness is independent of the mind. It never comes by a thought, but it goes deeper within, intrinsic, my essential nature. That is the message in this mantra. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. May there be peace for all. That is why we ask the mind, please repeat it. Why? Chant it, remember it, recall it, relive into this mantra. Why? So we say to the mind, when the mind is asking the question, why? We say to our crazy mind, because you are constantly changing. I am introducing what lies behind the mind. So how to explore and awaken to what lies behind the mind? So we have a mantra. Somebody asked the question of the mantra. Yes, I talked about it. Yes. Now you see how you are reconciling all the principles. Oh, that peace is my essential nature. It is 100% true. You are tired, you want to go into peace. You are into anxiety, ultimately naturally want to move into the peace. Because I have to move to my intrinsic nature. If my nature is anger and anxiety and duality, I will continue to move into anger and anxiety. Nobody loves anger and anxiety reaction. No one, no human being. How foolish one may be. Why? Because your intrinsic nature cannot leave you. Think of this, contemplate, digest, assimilate in your mind. Your life will change. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. May there be completeness in all. What does it mean? That sense of completeness is what the consciousness is. Mind cannot be complete. Body cannot be complete in itself. Why it is not complete in itself? Mind needs a lot of things from the outside world. Body needs, it cannot survive. Consciousness doesn't need anything. It is independent. What is independent is always complete. In all the locations, at every time, I have to recognize and realize and discover that I am of the nature of consciousness. I am not the body and the mind. That is another discernment. That is the question that you have asked. So once I discern clearly, I realize that I am not the body and the mind, I am consciousness. Now when you see from that center of perception and you see anyone, you see your honey, you will see, oh, Outside he is my honey or she is my honey, but inside we are made up of the same essence. You see the dog and the cat and the mosquito, we are made up of the same essence. Where there is a movement, there has to be a consciousness. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Hence, what? If that is so, there is always an auspiciousness in the entire existence. Where I exist as the smallest creature, all the other creatures also receive the same auspiciousness and a blessing. So in a way, that very existence as consciousness is called always grace and send us the blessing to us. That is what the awakening is. Even you think and contemplate and reflect in meditation, it helps you to move into the peace and calmness. Think of it when we experience what is going to happen. We say that is a total transformation. You become a spiritual being. Now we are a human being. So what we need to do, just you do nothing now, because I'm already a spiritual being. And that is why we say you look at the breath, and every time the breath goes in, just say in your mind, Shantoham. Shantoham means I am the peace. So you are asking the mind, to declare I am the peace. Why? To move higher, not to move down. Breath goes in, Shantoham, breath comes out, Shantoham. You see, I simplified the journey. Your mind picks up a thought and you are distracted. Do you have that higher level of awareness which recognizes this distraction is taking me down? You simply recognize that thought will go away. How? You are driving to my home and you have taken a right turn. My house is on the left turn. You have to be conscious to recognize it. You recognize and you take a left turn. You don't fight with anything. I believe you're getting it. So you take the left turn means that you are doing Shantoham, you recognized. Any thought comes, Shantoham. No thought is there, Shantoham. Breath is going, Shantoham. Breath is coming out, Shantoham. Unitary field. We are asking the mind to move with that field. Why? To recognize what lies behind the mind. Simple. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand, your mind on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. Let us share our experiences. If you have any question and doubt, you can ask the question. How are you, Sophie?
I'm good, thank you, Girish. I heard you, but I didn't do the instruction during the breathing. And all of a sudden, I had stopped, and all of a sudden,
It was deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a good meditation.
It's a good practice. Yes. Because we become oblivious of the outer world, including this sound, even if the sound appears to be very near to you. And that's a good practice. How about your honey, John?
Hey, Girish, I'm fine. I had trouble keeping up with the breathing exercises. I don't know how to explain it.
Yes.
No, it's just a case of doing the breathing exercises and feeling that I'm having to make an effort to do that.
You are saying that when the breath goes in, you cannot say Shantoham. Breath comes out, you cannot
No, I don't. I haven't done that. No.
Yes. So what I will change that practice a bit, and that is because the nature of the mind is outward. It is more active. Can I say that mind is hyper, in the hyperactive state? It cannot reconcile with the Shantoham. So remind me in our next practice, I will modify this, and then we will say, how dare your mind cannot say Shantoham with the breath. I know how to change this mind. Are you breathing? Yes. So don't pay any attention to the breathing and say Shantoham. Can you say that? You are already breathing and saying Shantoham. You are saying that you cannot say that. That is the objection of the mind. How are you, Charlie?
Hello. Good. I'm tired, and I started to cough a bit. But good. Just tired.
Just tired. Yes, tired means that you should do the practice again. Repeat the practice. I'm going to send you the audio file. So the mind was totally outward. It is withdrawn outside. So it has not gone inside. That's why we feel a sense of tiredness. But if we repeat the practice, the mind goes inside. You'll feel that relaxation. Good. How are you, Meet? Some joke popped up.
I feel an incredible sense of clarity.
Very good.
And joy. There's something that really where you were taking us just opened me incredibly.
Yes, you have to repeat it again. Repeat listening, contemplation, and reflection, and that is going to settle that state of the mind, and you will transform. How are you, Anne? Yes.
Yeah, I'm feeling very good.
You feel very good. Good. Yeah. Good and calm. One thought was, go ahead.
Quiet.
Quite. Very good. Wonderful. One thought was popping up in my mind regarding John. Do you have a luxury not to say Sophie while breathing in and out? You have changed immediately. So if you don't have a luxury, you should also not have a luxury to say Shantoham. John is thinking he is not going to respond. I know that.
You're right.